Welcome to Stick Figure Sorcery, and in this video we will be talking about the backgrounds in Dungeons & Dragons. This video is part 2, as there are 16 backgrounds in the 2024 Players Handbook, and we covered 8 in the first video, and we will cover the remaining 8 in this video. Quick recap here: in the 2024 rule set, backgrounds give you an origin feat, a boost to several different ability scores, and a couple of proficiencies, as well as giving you some flavour and inspiration for playing your character. Do you want your character to have travelled the world, making your living on the waves, moving from port to port and pub to pub, fighting off sea monsters and pirates? At least in the stories that you tell, the life of a sailor is one of transit and adventure. Seeing more of the world than most, you have had no home except boats, and you live on the move. Strength, dexterity, and wisdom are the ability options you can choose to boost. The physical job and balance needed to work the deck of a ship are responsible for strength and dexterity, whereas reading weather and nature is where the wisdom boost comes from. Fittingly, the tool proficiency given to sailors are navigator's tools, needed for being able to find your way during your travels. This proficiency, alongside having the navigator's tools on your person, enables you to plot directions even without terrain features to find your way by. Being able to climb up and down the rigging has given you acrobatics proficiency, and keeping watch for dangers at sea has trained your perception. The origin feat granted to Sailor is Tavern Brawler. With Tavern Brawler, your unarmed strikes do more damage, you are proficient with improvised weapons, and when dealing damage with an unarmed strike, you can also push the target back. Having bounced from one dockside tavern to the next, spending your hard-earned coin as soon as it hits your pocket, you have been in more bar fights than you can count, and are prepared for the next one. The abilities granted leads toward a more martial class. You might be tempted for a monk, but given a monk already has better unarmed strike, it might not be the most value gained from a background for a monk PC. But it still works for any martial class, or a less stereotypical cleric or druid, especially now that there is a Circle of the Sea druid. Have you always been skilled with your hands, starting as an apprentice and working your way up to be recognised in your own right? Artisans use those learned skills to make a living. Day after day, you have spent mastering your craft, honing the skills that make up your trade. The abilities you can choose from for your boost are strength, dexterity, and intelligence. Being subtle with your hands, needing to work in fine detail, is the dexterity origin. If you work with bigger items, you might need strength to maneuver pieces into place. Making detailed plans to bring about your art, that is where the int boost comes from. Investigation, an intelligence-based skill, would cover your ability to make and read detailed plans and blueprints, whereas the need to charm customers to keep business flowing has given you proficiency in the charisma skill Persuasion. Having made your living with your hands and tools, the extra proficiency you gain is one type of artisan's tools of your picking, for example smithing or leatherworking tools. Further fitting to this background, the crafter feat is the one gained for an artisan PC. With this feat, you gain several more artisan tools that you can choose their proficiency, as well as part of a long rest, you can quickly craft some basic items that last a short period of time. Here is a look at the list of what you can make depending on the tools you have and the proficiencies you have. A great time here to remind you that you need to have the tools as well as the proficiency related to it. If you just have the tools, you can attempt to use them, but are less likely to be successful, whereas having the proficiency without the tools is not much you can do. Often, if you get a proficiency from your background or class, you will also get a set of tools. But not always, and there are plenty of times where you'll have more proficiencies for tools than you'll have the actual sets for them, so you might need to find a shop to purchase the tools. That brings up the last aspect of a crafter feat, which is a 20% discount for non-magical items when you are purchasing them. This background is tailor-made for the Artificer class, but can also be a fun way to play any class if you want to have some more tool proficiencies. Having a similar feel to the last background, but with a more musical feel, is the Entertainer background. Whether you've travelled from city to city performing at taverns for your food, booze, and a bed to crash in, or maybe you're part of a travelling circus or musical troupe, does nothing feel better than the sound of ringing applause? being on stage is where you belong. Being a performer, the social ability charisma is one of the options for you to boost. Needing to charm the crowd and hold their attention and earn their coin is essential for your craft. The physical drain of putting on a full show is where the strength and dexterity options come from. Dancing across the stage, your body needs to be trained to endure the effort you put into it. Acrobatics and performance are the two skill proficiencies given to a PC with the entertainer background. Both of them could be used while on the stage to captivate the audience, and very much have an entertainer feel to them. To go alongside this, the tool proficiency you gain is a musical instrument of your choice. This gives you the option to use the instrument as part of your shows, or to distract people. The musician feat gives you several proficiencies with musical instruments. This gives you a wide range of options for entertaining, making you even better at your job. The other benefit from the musician feat is that at the end of a short or long rest, you can play a song on a musical instrument and give some of your friends who can hear the song heroic inspiration. This whole background is designed to be ideal for a bard player, but could be fun for any class who wants to play a more musical or entertaining PC. It might not give you the most mechanical advantages in the game, but entertainer can be a very fun and entertaining background, no matter what you play. Have you had a hard life living on the streets of a major city? Stealing, begging, and just trying to survive in a cruel world. Sleeping in alleyways and never fully trusting anyone? Being a character with a wayfarer background hasn't been a fun beginning. But through your cunning, conviction, and capabilities, you've made it this far, with a touch of luck to help you out. Sneaking around and trying not to get caught when taking things that aren't yours has honed your dexterity, while being cunning enough to understand how trustworthy people are and who is worth trying to get one over is how wisdom is a choice for you to boost. Being charming enough to avoid the worst punishments if you are caught in the middle of doing something you shouldn't be is how charisma is an option. Being willing and able to break into places when you are desperate or just want to has given you proficiency with thieves' tools. Needing to know who is trustworthy and who isn't, you have spent years watching the slightest shifts in people's expressions and have gained proficiency in insight. And not wanting to be caught while sneaking around, moving silently from shadow to shadow, you have proficiency in stealth. The lucky feat is a fairly unique and powerful feat. With it, you gain a number of luck points equal to your proficiency bonus, and these luck points allow you to bend luck in your favour. You can spend them in one of two powerful ways. First, you can give yourself advantage on a d20 test, really helpful when you have a very important roll, or secondly, you can use them to give somebody attacking you disadvantage. You get all your luck points back at the end of a long rest, meaning they are a great resource that you can use every day and they just keep coming back. Wayfarer is a great background for a rogue, similar but maybe a bit more fun than the criminal background, but could also be a great choice for a sorcerer, warlock, or any other class. With attention to detail, quick fingers, and the ability to do a repetitive, mind-numbingly boring task for hours in a row, a scribe has spent years meticulously copying scrolls and other writings. Maybe you worked for a court or monastery. You could have been dedicated to making sure knowledge is not lost or that the truth is recorded for future generations. Dexterity, intelligence, and wisdom are the abilities you can choose to increase with a scribe background. Being quick and precise with your hands requires dexterity, whereas the need to be able to interpret what you're reading and to understand what is actually meant, especially when translating between languages or archaic writings, that leads to wisdom and intelligence. The investigation and perception skills are the skill proficiencies given to scribes. Needing to be able to search through faded manuscripts for any hint of lost words and being precise with picking out small details has been the cause for these two proficiencies. Unsurprisingly, the tool proficiency is calligrapher's supplies. Skillful penmanship and quick writing, and the ability to make spell scrolls are all aspects of your proficiency with this tool. Skilled is the origin feat for scribes. With Skilled, you can choose any free tools or skills and gain proficiency with them. I don't particularly understand where this feat ties into this background. Maybe it's supposed to be from the different things you have read and copied, but I'm not exactly sure. The most bookish class is Wizard, and that would make the most sense for a scribe, but Monk or Cleric are also very fitting. Has protecting your home been your most important goal in life? Patrolling the streets and walls of your town or city, watching for attacking forces outside the walls or criminals inside them. Guards live a life of long hours of boredom and hard training for those short periods of excitement. Your home might be near the borders where there are threats of wild creatures or enemy nations, or on the coast where pirate raids are a constant threat. While it is a physical job, and therefore you have the option to boost your strength score, there are also two mental traits which you can choose to increase: intelligence and wisdom. Needing to be able to read people and their intentions is essential to the job, and how wisdom is a choice, and intelligence comes from your training and planning for how to best protect your home. Downtime with your guard buddies has given you proficiency with a gaming set of your choice. Keeping your eyes peeled, always alert for trouble, you have been trained in the perception skill. And carrying around your gear and being able to run to situations has given you the athletic skill. Being ready and prepared at a moment's notice, no matter what situation arises, it is fitting that the feat granted to guards is the alert feat. With alert, you have advantage on initiative rolls and are able to swap initiative count with a willing ally. Guards could be a martial character like a fighter, but it could also be fun to play something like a wizard who is part of some sort of magical investigator or security force for the city. Have you travelled the world as part of a caravan, buying unique and valuable items and then taking them to where they will get the most coin and selling them on? Or perhaps you had a shop in a large city, the many travellers to town bringing the valuable goods straight to your door for you to then flip them for profit. Whatever method of business you employ, the merchant background represents your past of buying and selling and charming your way into a comfortable existence. Like all salespeople, charisma is a valuable ability, and representing your time sweet-talking people into selling for less and buying for more, charisma is one of the abilities you can increase. Needing to survive on the road, sometimes with large periods of time between consistent supplies and good food, you have had to have a hearty constitution. And knowing what is valuable and how much you can get for it, intelligence is the third option for merchants. From your years travelling between locations, reading maps and the stars, you have gained navigator's tool proficiency. Knowing how to persuade pack animals and beasts of burden to do your bidding, and needing to take care of those animals, you have learnt the animal handling skill. Persuasion proficiency comes from the need to be able to charm customers and sellers alike. Like all business owners, you have had to get lucky on the way to success, and to represent this, you get the lucky feat from the merchant background. Many classes could tie into this background. Maybe you sold magical items, and as a wizard or sorcerer had a leg up on competition. Or perhaps having to fight off raiders during your journeys, you have had to train some martial skills to become a fighter or barbarian. The last of the backgrounds in the 2024 Players Handbook is Charlatan. Are you able to charm those around you into doing things for you? Selling false hope and cures to those gullible or desperate enough to buy them? Forging documents, dealing in stolen items, or selling snake oil? A charlatan is willing to use any of your considerable charm and skills to come out on top. Dexterity, constitution, and charisma are the abilities you can increase for playing a charlatan PC. Being charming, deceitful, and quick with your words are why charisma is an option. Dexterity comes from being good with your hands at forging and being able to slink away when the deed is done or the plot goes awry. Hard living between cons, maybe dealing with poisons, and probably spending a good amount of time in alehouses listening for opportunities is why constitution is available to you. Forgery kit proficiency is the tool you get as a charlatan, based on your experience forging documents to make money. Sleight of hand proficiency is from your efforts in tricking people and picking pockets. Needing people to believe whatever lie you're using that day, you have had a lot of experience with deception, and that is your second skill proficiency. As you are willing to do anything to make a profit, and sometimes have had to learn unusual or specific knowledge for a con, the origin feat you gain reflects this. This feat, skilled, allows you to choose any free skills or tools and gain proficiency in them. Charlatan is a great fit for a rogue, warlock, or sorcerer, but also works for any tricksy player. A quick note here at the end. If your background grants you a skill proficiency that you already chose from your class, you can choose any other skill proficiency to replace it. With that, we have looked at all 16 backgrounds in the 2024 Players Handbook. Hopefully you have been inspired for a new creation. Now get out there and roll some dice.